Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty boring once it got into the second late into the second half. But player of the game, obviously, unless you're living under a rock and you didn't see it, this was the Kofi Coburn show. 33 points, a career high on 12 of 15 shooting, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, 9 of 15 from the line. So I would like to see him clean that up, obviously. But um, if he's shooting over 50% from the line, I guess I'm going to be okay with it at this point. So um, I don't know what they did to his hands. Maybe they put some stickum on him. As my dad said, maybe he removed his boxing gloves that he had on for the Missouri game. I don't know, but he looked really good under the hoop, around the hoop, back to the basket, which he hasn't looked good doing at all this year. Um, and like when Curbelo was getting inside, you could see that Kofi was expecting a pass where before he wasn't. So they worked on something. And there was even an entry pass that Curbelo had that got tipped, and Kofi still ended up finding it. So uh, the only thing that I'm going to hate on Kofi is once he gets the ball inside, it's not coming back out. Georgie did that a lot too. I mean, his freshman year when he was playing down low, I wish that he noticed that you got guys like Frazier and Miller and even Io that can shoot the ball for you. DeMonte, all of them, they can all shoot. So he's going to have to kick it out once in a while. The brew party. It's what we were on last night. That was we his I think his name's Andy Moser, I believe. That's we're ter- we're terrible. Let me look him up on the Twitters. Sorry. We should have been more prepared. It's been a long day already. So but yeah, the brew party, if you guys want to check them out, um, he does a lot more than just Illinois basketball. This one was just Illinois basketball. He decided to have us on, which you know, obviously, I don't know who else you would have on if you're talking Illini basketball than us. So, but yeah, but it's at the brew party on Twitter, and I know his name's Andy, but I don't have his last name. I'll have to look him up more. But anyways, who was your player of the game? I bet it wasn't Kofi. Yeah. His name is Andy Hopper. So I was close. Andy Hopper. But yeah, thanks for having us on, Andy. I'm sure you're listening and you're like, wow, these guys are really unprofessional. But let me let me go share this on Facebook real quick. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a day. So but anywho, uh I thought Minnesota started off really good in this game. I was kind of worried for a little bit. They had a 16-8 lead 5 minutes into the game, and and you know I was wondering where the defense was because that's what Underwood does is play defense. But Miller started the game hitting a three in the corner, which is it's always good to have him going early. Um, the Illini did not change their starting five, which we were hinting at maybe Curbelo,
We've been
but
doing that for like 4 games in a row
yeah,
now,
we're
so
trying.
whatever.
I don't think it's gonna happen. You don't. I don't think you do that to Adam Miller, and you're definitely not gonna do that to Trent Frazier. So, um, But Kofi, got to the line. What I know you said it last night. Illinois started this game from the free throw line like 1 for 6.
Yep.
I don't think Kofi made his first four
He
or
was he
something.
was 1 for 4, I think, and Georgie was over 2.
Yeah,
I think is
but
how it went.
yeah, you could tell that the whole plan of this game was to get the ball inside to Kofi. Illinois, we've talked about it. They don't really run much of an offense, but it was even more so in this game. It was just basically guy pops out, that guy gets the ball to Kofi. Kofi does whatever he wants to do down low. But it was nice to see him have a lot of touch down low because, we talk about it a lot. He throws the ball pretty hard off the backboard sometimes. But uh, it seemed like for me it seemed like the defense was struggling early. I know that you talked up the defense was really good this game, but early on, Miller and Frazier both tried to switch to the same guy, or so I don't know what was going on, but it left Carr wide open for a three. Georgie was very lackadaisical on D. So starting off, they were not. I mean, they looked slow, but I felt like Curbelo came in, and the offense started flowing a little bit better. The defense stepped up. Um, he did take a bad three, which I'm not a big. Hey, Curbelo, you need to shoot the ball, kind of like Felice, but he did make a wonderful three with the shot clock running out later in the game. I did look back. It looked like he double dribbled on it, but we're not going to talk about that. So, um, but Curbelo is just doing things right. He had 9 assists this game, which is kind of what we wanted from him to distribute the ball more. And it's easier to get assists when the big guy you're throwing it to actually catches it. So, um, Illinois went on a little 14-0 run where Kofi had like 6 straight and ended up being like a 20-3 run after they were down by 8. So the game just kind of started turning. At half, Illinois had outscored Minnesota 22-2 in the paint, and they were 11-0 on fast breaks. So uh, definitely what you want from them. I know you've been preaching push the ball, push the ball, push the ball, which they definitely did this game a little bit more. Um, I felt like it was nice to see that Io didn't have to take over a game. Um, when Kofi's scoring 33, Io doesn't have to do a whole lot. Uh, Illinois had 4 guys in double digits. Kofi, of course, had his 33. Io had 10 in this game, which I mean, he didn't have to. He didn't have to score. Frazier had 10, so it's nice to see him getting up in double digits. And Miller had 14, which we get Miller scoring, 15 to 20 points a game. That's what we need. So, um, Io's hitting the board still. 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Um, the team had 21 assists, which I is pretty good for this Illinois team because they've ran a lot of isolation. But then again, when you're pounding the ball down low and Kofi's 13 for 15, you're going to get a lot of assists off that. So they're still turning the ball over, which is not good. 14 turnovers. They only forced 9 against Minnesota, which I feel like if their defense is that good, then they should definitely be able to turn them over more than 9 times. And then Io had 4 of those turnovers for Illinois, and Kofi had 3. Curbelo had 2. So Curbelo, I'm okay with him if he's going to have the ball that much. 2 turnovers is fine with me. But Io having 4 because I think he's had 6 and 4 the last couple games. So um, Adam Miller's shooting threes, which is nice. He took 9 of them this game, which it seems like a lot, but I've been big on Illinois shooting more threes. They had 19 this game rather than the 13 they had against Mizzou. And, Miller, I know he went 0 for 6. I think it was the second game of the season. But he went 4 of 9, and he's going to shoot 40 to 50% from three most nights. So I'm okay with him putting up 9 threes. Uh, I feel like unlike Curbelo, he's struggling to get around the hoop. He seems to get lost in the lane, uh, tries to go up against guys that are, bigger than him. And it seems like he's more of a spot up shooter, or maybe just like a head fake two dribbles shot, because he had one of those, which was nice. But him and Curbelo are getting pretty close in minutes. Miller had 25 minutes. Curbelo had 22. So um, I felt like Frazier was shooting more, because I think he shot three shots the last game. He was 2 for 5 from three, so okay with that. I like him shooting 5, 6 a game. Um, he's still struggling once he gets inside the arc. 3 of 8 from the field, but no turnovers again. So that's back to back games. Frazier hasn't had turnovers, which is huge for Illinois, I think, because he was struggling with the ball, trying to get in the lane, do things. So, and you really loved his defensive effort.
Who?
You're, Frazier, are you
Yeah,
paying attention?
I'm losing it.
Holy smokes!
I I thought Io was the best defender in this game
Okay.
for Illinois, but Frazier was also very good, and we expect that with Frazier. He tweeted after the game that he loves defense, so
Yeah.
little bit of a different tone from when he was a freshman, probably.
Right, and he went to Underwood apparently, and said that he's tired of switching. He wants to fight through screens, things like that, and he thinks that the team can handle that. So Underwood was like, "Okay, you do that." So Demonte, just had a Demonte game. Nothing crazy. Played great defense. Only had 2 points, but 8 rebounds. Had 3 assists. Had a really nice entry pass to Kofi. Nice little toss up, and Kofi slammed it home. Feel like Georgie and Hawkins are kind of getting the same amount of time now. Hawkins wasn't getting a lot of time. I think he ended up having 12 minutes this game. Georgie played 15. And I feel like Georgie's kind of regressing again. I hate to call it regressing, but just he's not doing a whole lot. He had 4 points, 5 rebounds, but just being Georgie, putting in his time and doing what he does. Uh, I was just happy to see Hawkins played a lot. Grandison, I don't think he got off the bench until the game was out of hand. So
Good.
I don't know what's going on there, but
Shouldn't be playing at all. Where's Bosman's Verdonk?
I don't know what's wrong with his foot. I thought he was going to get some playing time, but maybe they're still limiting him. I don't know. Did he even play in the crap minutes? What do you call him? I don't even know what you
I don't
call him.
think so. I think it was like Padilla, Servin,
Yeah.
Hamlin.
So I mean, if he's not even playing then his foot must still be
Yeah.
acting up, right?
Griffith, someone else.
It's your boy. I was trying to see stats on it, but uh, as far as Missouri or Minnesota, I didn't think that Illinois' defense was that great. Maybe I wasn't paying attention close enough, but Minnesota, I felt like Minnesota. I don't know if they were forced into bad shots or they just took bad shots or whatever, but only shot 27.5% from the field. While Illinois is shooting 53%. So Illinois is shooting the ball well, holding Minnesota to not much. Um, but struggles from the free throw line are still there. They got to get that fixed. I don't know how you fix that at this stage. I said last night why we were doing that with Andy, that these guys are D1 basketball players. They've been shooting free throws their whole lives. So I don't know how you fix that. But they held your boy. How do you say his name?
Booth Gotch.
Booth Gotch to 0 for 9 from the field. Um, didn't show up, only made one free throw. So good on Illinois for stopping him. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Minnesota just took some really weird shots, some really bad
Their
shots.
offense was abysmal, but
It was not good.
I think it was, a mixture of Illinois' defense being good, especially with the guards defensively.
Hmm.
And then, Minnesota's offense was terrible. I don't know what they were doing. And
Yeah.
that was like, Dockich called him out a lot, and he's an idiot, and we'll get to him. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't good for Minnesota's offense. I knew they could, I've said this like 4 times in the last week. This is just what Minnesota gets for playing a bad non conference schedule. And now
Absolutely.
you have a team that has guards that can defend Marcus Carr and shut him down, which Illinois has done the last 2 years, basically. Most of Marcus Carr's points on Tuesday were from the free throw line, so he didn't do
Yeah.
anything. Nobody from Minnesota did anything, honestly.
No, no. I mean, it was a good game for Illinois to bounce back after that Mizzou loss. Like I said, the first 5 minutes weren't very pretty, but I usually take notes for all these games, and there was 9 minutes left, and I just kind of stopped because it was out of control. Your boy Hamlin came in, threw a couple down. So when Hamlin comes in, it's time to just pull back and stop taking notes. But
Hamlin's a stud.
yeah,
He's back.
yeah, good game for Illinois. Like I said, that's what they needed to come back. They're gonna have a tough game with Rutgers coming up. Uh, Underwood said that Io arrived early to practice after the Missouri loss and told the coach that things would be just fine. So Io's not worried. I mean, Mizzou game's the Mizzou game. It's over. It's Big Ten season, so it's all about moving forward at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Dan Dockich.
Dan Dockich is a moron. I'm just gonna say he's a moron. Um, I am pretty sure at one time during the game that he said Kofi would have been a first round draft pick if he would have went. I don't know where he's getting his information
He
from.
also said Iowa
Um,
was a top 5 pick. So there you go.
yeah, maybe after this year, Io might be, but
Yeah,
he's
probably not.
got a lot of work to do.
Probably
So,
not.
yeah, I think Kofi just now started actually hitting like the top 70 uh, guys that could come out for the draft. So I don't know, like I said, where he got his information, but he is tough to listen to. But I hear he's going to ref the Rutgers game. So
Okay. Whatever. We won't even go there. Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting whenever like the dude from the Minnesota bench, like, was calming Booth Gotch down, and
yeah,
Dockett said you can't hug a guy when he's killing you or something. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. He's pretty hard on him, but he loves people when they're playing really good, and man, he is down on them when they're playing bad. So
he also won't shut the hell up about Indiana, as is tradition with him.
uh-huh.
Twice they brought up the big men in the Big Ten, and both times he made sure to go out of his way to bring up Trace Jackson Davis of Indiana, who's fine and all that, but calm down.
Yeah.
So yeah, all I got to say about him.
He didn't know he was doing the Kofi show.
If it was easier for me to talk right now, I would kill Dockich, but I just don't. I got so much spit in my throat, I can barely even get the words out. Whatever. Are we ready to go to the preview?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
See this multi-show a week is killing you. I'm telling you.
No, this is just a 1 week thing. Next week I'll be flying. We'll be good. So Rutgers is actually 36th in Haslametrics, which is behind, I think, Maryland, who they beat, and behind Penn State, which is surprising.
Very surprising.
Their offense has not been very good efficiency-wise. I think really the only guy that's been super efficient and scored a lot for them is Ron Harper Jr. They're 58th in offensive efficiency and 18th in defensive efficiency. They're also third in field goal percentage allowed. So we know the Steve Peichel teams are very good defensively. So
yeah, last year they had a battle in Champaign, a whopping 54-51. And we talked about it last night, but Harper was held to 9 in that game. Geo Baker was out, which Geo Baker has only played 2 games this year. He cut all his hair off, which I didn't even recognize him on the court the other night, but that's whatever. Anywho, and then Illinois went into the rack and got beat by 15
without Io.
Without Io, of course, but then Harper scored 27. So
that was a close game until the end.
It was, and Illinois' leading scorer in that game was our boy Alan Griffin, who Boeheim is learning isn't the most coachable guy. But
I'm shocked to hear that.
But yeah, Harper is kind of the guy they need to stop. I was surprised last night when we were talking to Andy. He's shooting 50% from three. So I always complain that Illinois doesn't close out well enough on 3-point shooters. They're going to have to do that against him. He scored 27 against Maryland. He scored 26 against Syracuse. So he is rolling this year.
Yeah, he's averaging 23 a game plus 7 rebounds.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that mostly being the number one guy offensively. And I'm assuming for the next few weeks he'll still be that. I don't think Geo Baker's going to be, running the offense as much as he usually does until I think they're kind of easing him back in.
Yeah.
And then you look at other guys. Jacob Young is a big-time glue guy, very good defensive guard, averaging 15 a game this year and 6 assists. He's been very good.
Yeah, and he's stepped up a lot since Geo's been out. So
pretty much all their guards have. I mean, Montez Mathis is another one, averaging 13 points and 4 rebounds. And then Miles Johnson, who doesn't start. I guess Cliff Omoruyi starts, who's a freshman. But Miles Johnson does play a lot of minutes, and he averages 8 points and 9 rebounds. So, and he's big too. He's big.
And it seems like those two guys kind of share time, but they're both 6'11". 250, so it's gonna be a lot different than Kofi getting the ball fed against. I don't know how much you think Robbins weighs, about $180 soaking wet.
I think it's 230. I looked it up, but not close to.
But Kofi's what, 285 with a 6-pack, so a little bit different body size. But yeah, I think that he's gonna get challenged more. It's gonna depend on the refs, of course. It always seems to come down to that with Kofi and how much, I'm not going to say he can get away with, but how aggressive he can be in the paint, and then how he can play on the defensive end. So Underwood has complained about how Kofi is getting, calls not in his favor because of his size. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup works.
Rutgers is one of the hardest matchups for Illinois, I think. They're a team that can shoot and defend, which who else in the Big Ten can do it like them? Like Iowa can shoot. Can they defend? Not really.
Right.
Rutgers can shoot and they can defend.
Yeah, and I mean, they really didn't lose, from last year. They didn't really lose anybody, did they? I mean,
they didn't lose any of the big ones.
Right? Yeah, so. Any of the ones that, So
I don't remember.
And Maryland's not good, but they handily beat Maryland.
Maryland has some veteran leaders. I mean,
I was gonna say they're not as good as
last year. Yeah, they lost their 2 best players, right? But they still have Aaron Wiggins and Ayala and a couple guys there. But they're not very good. This is gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be hard for Illinois to score. The projected lineup that I would say, I'm assuming Geo Baker will start this game, even though he didn't start the last game. I think he'll start this game. If he doesn't, it'll probably be Mulcahy or whatever his name is. I don't know. The white guy with the headband. Jacob Young, 6'2", 185 guard. Montez Mathis, 6'4", 210. Ron Harper Jr., 6'6", 245. Geo Baker, 6'4", 195. And Cliff Omoruyi, who is 6'11", 240, a freshman there. So they have Mulcahy coming off the bench as well as Miles Johnson, but this is going to be a hard lineup for Illinois to defend, and I don't know who's going to handle Harper. It's going to be a really hard matchup, because he's 6'6", he can shoot, he's been efficient, he weighs 245 pounds, which is a little different than what Io is. I don't think Io is 6'6", 245. But what do you think, defensive
his body
matchups?
size reminds me a lot of Vidal from Baylor.
Yeah, except, Harper Jr. has a lot more skill and can
skills.
shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that you probably put Io on him and then put DeMonte on Geo Baker. Is that what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think if Young will probably be up against Frazier and then Mathis against
Yeah,
Miller probably.
yeah,
And then you look at the other guys that come off the bench, Mulcahy. I mean, what's he going to do to you, really? Honestly, I don't really think he does very much except probably plays hard. So, yeah.
yeah.
I think Kofi's going to have a big matchup against Omari and Johnson. And then I think Georgie can handle, I think he can handle it enough to not let ruin the game. Because I think last year, the Rutgers game was the one where Georgie had a really bad inbound player or whatever the hell that was that ruined the game when it was close, and then Rutgers pulled away. I don't remember exactly what that was, but I think that was one of the games where that happened.
Yeah, and I talked about Kofi's rebounding. You have here that he had 17 against Rutgers last year. So it'd be nice to see him. Hopefully his hands are still working. Hopefully, he doesn't struggle catching the ball this game. But yeah, it's going to be a defense heavy game. Yeah.
All right. Rutgers is 5-0. They're 1-0 in the Big Ten. I don't know why I didn't write down who they played. That was kind of stupid. I'll figure that out now. So they haven't lost yet. I like that. I think it's good when you're like Minnesota, you're playing a team that is undefeated. Something's got to give, right? They play Ohio State after this, then Purdue. But you look at their schedule, they beat Syracuse 79-69. That was a Syracuse team without Buddy Boeheim, who's pretty much their best scorer. And they beat them by 10. They beat Maryland by 14, 74-60. They beat Hofstra by 14, 70-56. They beat Fairleigh Dickinson 96-75. And then they beat Sacred Heart 86-63. So really, Syracuse is a bit of a challenge. They're an unranked team. Maryland's an okay Big Ten team, pretty middle of the road. I don't even know if Maryland's better than Minnesota by much, if they are. So Rutgers, this is the first ranked opponent Rutgers is facing, so should be interesting. Prediction-wise, what do you got?
As of right now, I'm sticking with my early season predictions. I did have Illinois losing this game. I am hoping I'm wrong, but I'm going to take Rutgers in this game, 75-68.
Well, you will be wrong. I'm going to take Illinois 63-60. A little bit more low scoring. I like playing undefeated teams, I like that they're 5-0 and they didn't have a big letdown in non-conference. Steve Peichel, I think he met with the media today, was just talking about how great this Illinois team is. So, he knows the deal. He's a good coach. I'd rather have him
up. So if you beat him, you look really good.
Yeah, I'd rather have him than Underwood, but whatever. Yeah. He said that, Illinois is a well-coached team, which is debatable. He loves Frazier. He says they have 2 National Player of the Year caliber guys in Io and Kofi. So, yeah, he thinks that, Illinois is a good club. So there you go. I think Peichel is probably one of the better coaches in the Big Ten right now, honestly. I mean, if you look at, Izzo, and then it's open for debate after that. I mean,
sure.
Peichel's one of the best, I think. Look at what he's built at Rutgers. He's brought in great recruits. He's coached well. They play hard defense. So this is a big matchup for the Illini. This is one of the harder ones they're going to have early in the Big Ten. Let's go to the next one. We won't be doing an episode till after this episode. Or what? We won't be doing an episode until after this game on the 23rd against Penn State. I don't know when we're going to do the episode. I don't know.
Yeah, Christmas Day probably.
Yeah, because then the next day we have the watch party for the Indiana game. So
yeah.
So this game is Wednesday the 23rd at 5:30 p.m. I don't think there's a TV network for this one yet, but the TV network for the Rutgers game is ESPN2. So hopefully Dockich isn't doing it, but he probably will be. I'm assuming this game will probably be on Big Ten Network, even though it doesn't say yet. Penn State is 27th in Haslametrics, which is surprising. That's better than Rutgers, which I don't understand. They're 20th in offensive efficiency, so their offense has been good. They've had a little bit of a hard schedule, I guess. They're 36 in defensive efficiency, and they are 15th in free throw shooting percentage. So that's not good for Illinois. Team that can shoot free throws.
Shoot free throws.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen Penn State play yet, so
Well,
I don't have a lot of information on them.
they did lose Lamar Stevens, who was their best player last year.
Yeah.
And you also have the fact that the last time these two played each other was the big game where Iowa came back and they won in their building at Penn State.
Yeah.
So, you look at they have a lot of guys that have stepped up that were more so bench players last year or got less minutes last year, and they've come into their roles well. I mean, you look at Seth Lundy, 6'6" sophomore forward. He's averaging 14 points a game on 44% shooting. You have 6'4" guard Isaiah Brockington, who averages 14 and 5. And then, perfect matchup for Frazier, I think, is 6' guard Sam Sessoms, who averages 11 a game. And then a guy that was there last year and their second leading scorer, Myron Jones. He's kind of struggled a little bit. He's averaging 11 points per game on 31% shooting. Last year he averaged 13 a game on 44%. So eventually he's going to pick it up. And then you have their leading rebounder is John Harhar, or however you say that, averaging 7 per game. And I won't say the other thing that I wrote in this doc out loud on this podcast. But so yeah, it's an interesting team. I think this one, size-wise, is a good matchup for Illinois. If you look at their starting five or the guys that they've been starting, their schedule, they're 3-2. They're 0-1 in the Big Ten. They beat VMI, aka the Virginia Military Institute, by 21. They beat VCU, who's not really that good overall, by 3. They lost to Seton Hall. Seton Hall's down this year a little bit. I mean, they lost Miles Powell, so they lost to them in overtime, 98-92. They did have a big win against Virginia Tech, who was ranked 15th at the time. They're no longer ranked, even though they beat Clemson, who's number 24 yesterday. They beat Virginia Tech by 20, and they lost their first game of the Big Ten to Michigan by 4. So they played Michigan tough, held Michigan to 62 points. So Penn State's not a team to sleep on, but Illinois is better.
They're not terrible. That Michigan game was Sunday, I believe, and then Illinois is their next game, so they have 10 days off until this game. So it'll be interesting to see how ready they are. Usually, that big a layoff is more of a hindrance than it is a help, I think. So that could be good news for Illinois. I think Illinois is gonna be all right against Penn State. Again, who knows if the Illinois team that played Missouri comes out and they don't play defense, but hopefully the Rutgers game gets them ready for that. And playing a team like Rutgers and then going to play Penn State, I think is going to help a lot more than, Penn State played Michigan, waiting 10 days, and then they got to play Illinois. So I think that this should be easy win. I don't know if it's going to be like a Minnesota win, but definitely see him winning this game.
All right, Penn State's projected lineup: Jamari Wheeler, a 6'1", 170 guard; Isaiah Brockington, 6'4", 200; Myron Jones, 6'3", 180; Seth Lundy, 6'6", 219; and John Harhar, 6'9", 240. So pretty small lineup. Illinois should have no problems with matchups in this one. I think you throw,
might be another pound it to Kofi night.
It could be. I can actually see that happening.
Do you think Kofi stays that consistent though?
No.
I mean, not scoring 33 points, just that consistent around the rim. Like no. I was so surprised with how well he looked around the rim. He hasn't looked like that ever.
I think it was the arm sleeve.
Yeah.
He had the left arm sleeve on for the first time this season. That could have been.
Maybe he had some like stickum on there and he was rubbing it.
Probably not, but
Okay.
We don't want to get anybody in trouble.
I tried.
Predictions. What do you got for this one?
I got Illinois winning this game. Like I said, I think that they'll win it non-sweatingly. I don't want to sweat during this game, Illinois. Illinois 85, Penn State 73.
I'm going to go something similar.
I pretty much just stole it from you, so.
Exactly.
Go ahead and tell the fans how I stole it from you.
I won't do that. 83-74 is my prediction. for Illinois. So I have them winning these next two games, which would put them at 7-2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a 3-0 start in the Big Ten doesn't sound too bad. But we will be back
fantastic
next Friday, I guess, which I think is Christmas Day, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
I guess we'll do something that day.
I don't know
when.
Something that day. Maybe what's Thursday? Can we do it Thursday?
I mean, I could do anything.
I don't have anything
any day
going on
for
Christmas
any reason.
Eve, so
yeah, we could do that. And then on the 26th, we'll have the watch party
Thursday
against Indiana. That's a 3:00 Central Standard Time game. Also, I just have to acknowledge Jajoma. A lot of comments here from Jajoma.
Jajoma's in the chat again.
Just a bunch of random stuff. I mean, saying
I love Jajoma.
Saying that you were getting distracted. Like, have you seen me this entire episode?
Ethan hasn't even been paying attention. I'm trying to put my new controller together. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Ethan's got a sore throat. So this might not have been the best podcast we've ever done.
It's only 36 minutes.
But we got it out there for you guys.
And there wasn't that much to say about the game on Tuesday.
And the game was a blowout. It wasn't much, the team looked good, and we just got to hope, it's a lot easier to have longer podcasts when you sit there and criticize the team, but there wasn't a lot of things to criticize. Free throw shooting, turnovers. They if they can shoot free throws better and they can, limit their turnovers to, I think they're averaging 15 a game. They can limit it to, I'm going to say 8 to 10. They're going to play pretty well in the Big Ten this year. So
I think that's a safe bet. I'm sure we'll have something to complain about next Thursday. But we'll do the 2 reviews of those games. We'll preview the Indiana game, which will be a watch party on the 26th. And then they have a little bit of a break, and then I think it's Purdue to start the new year. And the January schedule is very hard, so we'll get into that, all that and more next Thursday. And hopefully you rate, like, subscribe to the podcast, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next Thursday, 7 days. Hopefully Illinois takes care of business. Go 1-0 every day. So, all right. That's it.